took a deep breath and came back in, and it just said, you know, you need...
Her son, Taylor.
I would have done anything for him.
Taylor, born with that disorder, severely disabling his body and his heart, wasn't expected to live more than a week. Remarkably, Taylor made it to his teenage years, the center of his mother's life.
She was everything for Taylor. I mean, she was with him 24 hours a day.
Linda had to feed him, change him, move him. At times, she would even breathe for him.
It became something I had to do very frequently, was rescue breathing.
But fate would eventually win on a spring afternoon when Linda left Taylor at home with her other children, as she often did, to work for a time at her shop. But when she got back, Taylor's breathing had stopped one more time, and this time would be the last.
I just found him in his bed, not breathing. I blamed myself a little bit that I wasn't there, and could I have stopped it?
For me, it was hard to lose my brother, but I definitely knew it was, I mean, a million times harder for her.
Linda's family says she changed, falling into a deep depression and guilt over Taylor's death. And while she tried to divert her pain by caring for others, in those weeks and months after Taylor's death, she did nothing for herself. She did not seek professional help.
You have to do something. I'm talking about the grief part. You need to get it handled. You need to go talk to somebody. We didn't.
My son died, of course I was sad, but I didn't realize how bad it was. My whole way of life was gone. I would get up in the morning and go into his room just automatically and just go, oh, it's not there. No, so it took a long time to break the routine of just things that I did every day. And it was just, my whole world was turned upside down. That's who I was. I was his mom. I took care of him. That's what I did, and it was gone. And I had my other kids too, but you know, they're pretty self-sufficient. And so it was a huge adjustment.
Linda and her husband Kevin are convinced that into that empty space came that teenager, Bubba Frank.
I felt like I needed to just be what this kid needed, help him in whatever way I could. And at the time, I don't think it was a conscious decision, but yeah, absolutely. I think it felt a need or a void.
If she hadn't, you know, suffered the loss from Taylor, I'm positive this wouldn't have happened. She wouldn't have, you know, she wouldn't have made those choices. And it's frustrating that people don't know her mindset and where she was, you know, at the time, and that they just know, you know, what happened, but they don't know, you know, they know physically what happened, but they don't know how she was emotionally.
And if that is Linda's explanation, some believe Bubba Frank has his own reasons too. Some pointing to peer pressure, other teens who knew of the text messages and pushed him to push the boundaries even further. Bubba told us he didn't have to push, insisting it was Linda who pursued him.
The texting just keeps going, and she eventually asked me if I want to take it out of town or go to a motel, or we can go to her house or the basement of her shop.
At school, some wondered if all of that peer pressure led Bubba to embellish what really happened in that bedroom.
I didn't like that he was any way, you know, involved with my mom. She's not completely innocent, but she was taken advantage of when she was very vulnerable and upset and sad.
But in the eyes of prosecutor Andy Miller, who soon caught wind of Bubba's bragging, it did not matter. Linda Lusk, he said, was no victim.
We charged her with the crime of child molestation in 3rd degree. There was never any doubt in our mind that Ms. Lusk would be convicted.
And for her daughter Carly, the only thing worse than the public scandal consuming her family was the thought of her mother going to jail for a very long time.
I love her to death, and I don't want my mom to go away. So it was scary to think that that was even a possibility.
The question in that small town, who was telling the truth? When we come back, Linda Lusk takes a polygraph test. What would it reveal? And would this mom, this former mayor, be sent away? Stay with us. But under Linda's unwavering care, Taylor would defy the odds.
Attaboy, Tay-man.
Making it to 16, he was loved by the teenagers in town, the teens who spent so much time at Linda's house. Among them, Bubba Frank.
If he wanted to play, we'd play with him with his toys and stuff. He was so energetic at all times, and just, they loved him to death and stuff, so he's great.
At the time, Bubba is 14, a star football player. Not only a fan of Taylor, he's also fallen for Linda's daughter, too. Carly is his first love.
We had a really good relationship and stuff.
I liked him, and we were like boyfriend, girlfriend. But I mean, it was just like, oh, you know, just like a little kid crush.
Yeah, a little puppy love.
It's not unusual for our kids to invite their friends over and for a lot of people to be there. We're barbecuing and having people over all the time. That's what we do.
Yeah.
The Lusk home is a popular hangout for teenagers. It's only a block from the high school. A family other parents felt good about.
A safe place where parents, you know, didn't mind their children going to. You know, they were people in the community that were trustworthy.
Linda Lusk's husband, Kevin, is the longtime high school principal in town. She's a local businesswoman, owning and operating her own handbag boutique called Get a Grip. And in 2003, she made a surprise run for mayor and won by just 20 votes.
Linda broke a lot of ground. She was the first female mayor. She pushed the envelope in doing things to spread the town's name. Linda was also a very strong personality as the mayor, and I don't think a lot of people were used to that.
That did not go over very well with some of the council members. One of them said, no damn woman should have that much power. And there was an editor at the local paper then that didn't like me very much.
After one turbulent term, she was voted out. But 3 years later, Linda Lusk would be thrust back into the spotlight in a way no one would ever have imagined. The loving mother, devoted wife, the one-time mayor, now accused of this.
Linda Lusk is accused of sending sexually explicit text messages and having sexual contact with a 14-year-old boy.
A lot of people were thinking, wait, the former mayor? The principal's wife? Really? Come on, really? Really?
The former mayor is under a...
When we come back, what was she thinking?
And so I put my hands on his shoulders. I said, what's going on? And then I gave him a hug.
When we return.
Linda Lusk, the former mayor of the small town of Prosser, Washington, says she was just nurturing 14-year-old Bubba Frank. But Bubba Frank remembers things differently. On the afternoon when they went from texting to something more, what really happened? Here again is David Muir.
Prosser, Washington has a lot in common with so many other small towns across America.
The social life is dictated by the high school. The joke for years has been, especially when the football team for the high school is playing in a big game, is Les went out of town, turn off the lights, you know, things like that. You talk to 80-year-old women on the street, they know the name of the high school football coach and all the players.
One of the best-known Prosser players, Bubba Frank. Even when we ask, are you any good?
Yeah.
But Bubba is now known around town for something beyond the gridiron. He was a key player in something else, a smoldering small-town scandal. It all begins when he was about to lose that first-time love, that popular girlfriend, Carly Lusk. Her mother, that former mayor.
My whole world revolved around him. I didn't like that. So, you know, I said, you know, I don't want this anymore. And he still stuck around.
But even though their early taste of love is over, Bubba and Carly remain friends, and he would often still come over to the Lusk home.
They'd have pool parties all the time, and me and my friends were invited and went over there.
It was an escape from what was happening at Bubba's own house, his parents separating, the family coming apart.
It was a tough time. It was definitely a tough time. You know, you don't want to put